For more MTG resources and articles, check out paperchampion.net.
This is Tao with MTG Forge, and today I'm going to be bringing you a pretty sweet deck. This one's often called Mono White Goats. I call it the Soul Shepherd deck because it has the Soul Warden, and basically we're going to be making a ton of goats and just beating our opponent down with goats in this. And I think it's hilarious, and in the past I've actually beaten even an Emrakul and stuff like that with goats, and it's just pretty sweet when you do that. So anyways, let's get to the deck tech. So our main card that we're going to be playing is Springjack Shepherd. Okay, so Springjack Shepherd has the Chroma ability. Now what Chroma is, it's basically an earlier form of devotion. So when Springjack Shepherd enters the battlefield, you make basically a 0/1 white goat creature for each devotion to white that you have. Okay, now what we're going to do then is we want to put a whole bunch of things to increase our devotion. Okay. In the meantime, also, keep in mind that Springjack Shepherd costs 4 mana, and so we're going to need to survive at least until turn 4 before we can get him out and have a way of reliably finding him. Okay, now, the way we're going to help find him is if we don't have him in hand, is using Kithkin Harbinger. So when Kithkin Harbinger enters the battlefield, you may search your library for a Kithkin card, reveal it, and then shuffle your library and put that card on top of it. Okay, so basically what we're going to do is play Kithkin Harbinger, and then after that we can play our Springjack Shepherd. So we use it to tutor for the other one. So essentially we have our ways of finding our Springjack Shepherd. Okay, now how are we going to protect ourselves until turn 4? Okay, well there's a couple different ways. The first one is using a Soul Warden. Okay, we're going to be creating a ton of goats, so even if we get our life total beaten down quite a bit, with all the goats that are going to be entering the battlefield, we can gain a lot of that life back, right? So that's one way we're going to do that. Okay, another way is by using Wall of Omens. Now, Wall of Omens is great because it's an early blocker with a big butt, but also helps to draw a card and helps us to find our Shepherd or our Harbinger. All right, we also have Ghostly Prison. Okay, to help to prevent our opponent from just flat out attacking us. Okay, Mirror, actually that's not, I'll talk about that one later. Oblivion Ring to basically just remove stuff that we don't want onto the battlefield, and Stasis Snare as well. Alright, so those are the things that are going to try and keep us safe. Now, I'll talk a little bit about this. You may notice that, for instance, we don't have Path to Exile main board. Okay, the reason why is because we want to keep stuff on the battlefield. Okay, this is similar to the Puka's Mischief deck, and also to the Enchantress deck, where you want to keep things onto the battlefield to increase your devotion. And you'll notice a lot of these have the multiple white symbols in them, just because, well, at least the Stasis Snares and the Flickerwisp do, just because we want to increase our devotion to white. Alright, anyways, now once we get our Springjack Shepherd onto the battlefield, we're going to use things like Flickerwisp. Okay, so to exile the Springjack Shepherd, bring him back, and then create more goats, or even Cloudshift. Okay, so we're going to use those to protect our creatures, flicker our Springjack Shepherd in and out, and that way we create more, like just tons and tons of goats. We're going to have so many goats that it's going to be ridiculous. Okay, now once we have those goats, we're going to pump them up using Honor of the Pure. Okay, we're also going to use Eldrazi Monument, so creatures you control get +1/+1 and have flying and indestructible. This is often a game closer, okay, but at the end of the turn you have to sacrifice a creature. But that's not that big of a deal because we have so many goats. It doesn't really matter. I've had games where I've had 30 or 40 goats, and it really doesn't make any difference when you have to sacrifice one of them. Okay, we're also going to be playing Obelisk of Urd. Obelisk of Urd enters the battlefield. You choose a creature type. Obviously, you choose goats. Creatures you control of the type get +2/+2. Okay, now the good thing is that Obelisk of Urd has Convoke. Okay, now what Convoke means is that you can tap your creatures, and it pays for one of the mana costs of that spell. So you can actually get this down pretty early. It's easy to forget about the Convoke ability, actually, and I've actually been guilty of that where I'm like, oh crap, I can't play this, but actually I probably could have. All right, anyway, so that's basically our whole deck is a little bit of protection, a whole bunch of goat production, and and then some pump spells. Okay, now there's not really that many tricks here. We've got we're running 22 lands, including a full playset of Westvale Abbey. Now the reason why is because we're going to be able to sacrifice those 5 creatures pretty quick, right? So as soon as we get to 5 mana, we could have a ton of goats, and then we could just sacrifice them, right? And then create this Ormondal Profane Prince, right? We also have a 1/0 Springjack Pasture. Okay, so you can just create a goat token, okay, or you can sacrifice goats and add that much mana to your mana pool. That's not really that relevant, but sometimes you got the extra mana, you can just create an extra goat. Haunted Fengraf is pretty nice. You return a creature card at random from your graveyard to your hand. Okay, so basically, if you have a Kithkin Harbinger or a Springjack Shepherd in your graveyard, you can just basically take a chance and get one back and put it back into your hand. Alright, so going to sideboard. Oh, actually, sorry, I almost forgot. Mirror Entity. Okay, now Mirror Entity is one of our finishers. Okay, so we can pay X until end of turn. Creatures you control have base power and toughness XX and gain all creature types. So essentially what we can do is we can create a ton of goats, pump them all up, and get +X+X, and they also gain all the creature types. So we can use this to basically pump up all our goats, make them huge, and then just swing to the face. Alright. In the sideboard, we've got a couple of different things. We've got Erase, so destroying target enchantments. Path to Exiles. Now, Path to Exile is not really that great. I'd rather have Journey to Nowhere, but sometimes you just need to be able to exile that creature, especially your opponent might have like ways to get rid of Journey to Nowhere. So the reason why I'd like to have Journey to Nowhere is because it basically stays on the battlefield and it increases your devotion. Right, so it might be better, like in the gameplay, you might see me substitute Path to Exile for Journey to Nowhere. Okay, Stony Silence just turns off all the artifact abilities, which is great. Leyline of Sanctity is great against burn. Right, Austere Command is kind of like a toolbox card. It's 6 mana, which is kind of hard, but at the same time, destroy all artifacts, destroy all enchantments is actually pretty sweet. Right, okay, Pithing Needle is actually pretty sweet as well to turn off planeswalkers and other things like that. Spellskite is, again, great against burn. It's just all around, it's great against bogles or whatever else. Alright, the only thing I'd really consider doing different is maybe taking out the Path to Exile. So in the gameplay videos, I might have that changed. And I might remove Austere Command depending on whether or not I play it. I might put something else in there. I'm not sure what, maybe like a Suppression Field or a Rule of Law or something like that. And let's see what else we have that might fit that better. But anyways, that's the deck. Hopefully you'll stay tuned and watch me hopefully beat some face with goats. It's pretty sweet when this does work. You're not going to win a GP with it, but again, it's a super fun deck to play and it's super flavorful. So anyways, if you do like the video, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. It's that time again for random card reviews. So let's click on random cards, see what we get. Goblin War Drums, 7th edition, uncommon. Alright, so let's see. Goblin War Drums is 2 mana and a red, so 3 mana total. Each creature you control can't be blocked except by 2 or more creatures. So essentially it's just creating a permanent menace. This is actually not too bad, mainly because it's not until end of turn, which is usually what red does. This just sits on the battlefield and stays around forever. I'd say, it depends on your deck. You'd have to be running something creature heavy like goblins or, something like that. But I can see that there'd be a lot of homes for this. It's too bad this isn't in modern, but yeah, I'd agree with the 4-star rating. This could be really sweet. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. See you next time.